Welcome to the Hemlock State Explorer. Today we are in State Gamelands 107 and we're just exploring. I've never been here before. We've passed through the Route 322 corridor along the Juniata River many times and have admired the high and steep mountains, and it's created an itch over the years to see what's up here, and today we're finally going to scratch that. We're armed with a map and GPS and we'll simply see what we find. We came into State Gamelands 107 via Hemlock Gap Road, and we'll share the directions and coordinates with you at hemlockstateexplorer.com. We'll pass on this old grade through the logged area back up to Howard Mountain Road. Trails on State Gamelands are typically not blazed, but there are a number of roads and a number of paths. It is late December. The roads were icy and snowy. Thankfully, most of the ice is in the process of melting right now. It's quite warm right now for late December. We had a rainy front come through last night, which raised the temperatures up into the 40s, which has helped the melting. It's not too bad at all walking up this old road, but there's no way we would have made it up here if we were not in a four-wheel high clearance vehicle. So I would strongly recommend that's what you take when you visit State Gamelands 107. We've nearly reached the top of this ridge. The parking lot is that white patch down below, and this is not too terrible of a view. We have two mountain ridges coming together. That's Howard Gap looking north. We came from the south, and then some mountains beyond, and we'll continue on this trail up to the top of this ridge. We're heading west right now in the direction of the Juniata River. Two things to note. One is that there are a number of gated roads, as is often the case in State Gamelands, and they're only open certain times of the year. This is open heading east on Singley Road from September 19th to February 9th. Be sure to check out State Gamelands website for the particular location where you want to hike before trekking out. Plan your adventure ahead of time so you're not disappointed thinking you can drive on a road when it's actually closed. The other point to note is that on the way up, and even at the top here, we've seen a number of no trespassing signs. It looks like the State Gamelands is surrounded by private property, even private property incursing into State Gamelands. So we'll just need to be mindful of that because we do want to be respectful of the property owners. We're enjoying intermittent views of Wagner Gap through the trees, but the plan is to head west on Singley Road up near the top of the ridge as far as we can go towards the Juniata and head down one of the several gaps or ravines through which streams flow in the hopes we might find something, maybe a waterfall, maybe some old growth forest, but really have no idea what to expect, which makes the adventure all the more exciting. We're passing through a logged area and are enjoying some scenic views. Granted, we can only see this because it's been logged. This would normally be covered with trees, but we'll take it nevertheless. To our left is Wagner Gap, through which we passed to climb the mountain. Those hills up ahead is our destination, and you can just make out that white road with snow snaking up the mountain. We have some beautiful views. I'm not sure if that's Tuscarora or Blue Mountain up ahead, but I'll look that up and of course mark the details on the website. We've reached the large parking lot at the end of the State Gameland Road. To our left is Hemlock Gap. We had some nice views of that all along the way, but because it's blocked largely by trees, didn't get any clear views. There are a number of options. There's a gated road that heads down to the right, a road that heads up the mountain ahead of us, and then maybe a road. No, I think that's just a pull-off down to the left. Don't want to go down into Hemlock Gap anyway, because on the way up there was, well, you can see right there in the distance on that tree, a purple mark. So all along Hemlock Gap Road coming up the mountain, there were abundant no trespassing signs on either side, so we'll avoid that. Let's go to the top of the mountain. Maybe we can get some views up there. It appeared as if there was a clearing, either from logging or rock formations, but in any case, this is the path we will take. And we'll need to be careful because all to our left are the purple markings of posted property. And it's not just to our left, but to our right and straight ahead as well is marked with posted signs and the purple paint. Yeah, here's some purple paint on our left, so looks like we're thwarted by private property. We'll head back down this road, and there is another trail that proceeds downhill from the parking lot. It's to our left right now, but coming down from that direction, which is from where we came, it'll be to our right. Maybe there's some information on this State Gameland sign. No, nothing about the private property up ahead, but in any case we'll head down here on this road. Haven't done any bushwhacking so far. Didn't seem as if there was anything to entice us off the trail, but we'll keep our eyes open and take this trail that looks like down into a hollow, and I'll check the map and see where this goes. We checked the map and confirmed that the way directly across from the parking area, or rather at the end of the parking area next to or beyond the State Gameland sign, is indeed private property. This will lead us down into a stream hollow and then proceed west towards the Juniata. I'm hoping that maybe we can explore Macedonia Gap to the south, but it looks like that might be private property as well. We'll see, but if not, we can head to the north and follow a route back and make a loop. But we have no real plans today. We're just exploring, so we'll take whatever the Lord gives us today, and we'll be happy for it. Entering into some young growth hemlock. It's nice to see the green, especially how it's complemented with the white. The trail has thus far been very easy gravel road. All right, we've reached a pull-off and the road curves to the right. That continues to the tip of State Gamelands 107 near the Juniata. and that's the way to Macedonia Gap, but I need to do some more research before I go that direction. It looks like it is private property, and we could do an out and back, but I want to do a loop today, so we're taking the trail to the left, and of course we'll mark this at hemlockstateexplorer.com. We'll descend to what is called Suloff Run. Already the landscape is even more beautiful than along the road, because we're seeing a field of mountain laurel all around. But we'll head down Sulof Gap. It looks like there is some water. Maybe we'll see some cascades or waterfall. Again, I have no idea what we're getting into. But then we'll head back east to Hemlock Gap and then ascend the mountain if we find no other way via the road that we drove up. We are in the heart of Sulof Gap with high hills on either side. I was hoping for a waterfall or at least some cascades, but here the stream is little more than a trickle. It was a little tricky to find the turnoff from the main trail up on the ridge down into Sulof Gap. We were relying on the state Gamelands map. The trail is where it's supposed to be, but we initially walked right by it because the turnoff is not obvious. But once we started heading down the trail via the old grade, the trail was easy to follow, except for places where it was obstructed by fallen trees. But as you can see now, any semblance of a trail seems to fizzle out. This is clearly a grade right here. Maybe it's beyond this mess of trees. But to help you, we'll of course mark the pull-off on the map at the website. Pardon me, trying to get up over a log. We'll mark the pull-off and the track on our website, so hopefully you can find the trail a little bit more quickly than we did. Yeah, and I can see the grade underneath these logs. It's just really obstructed right now. There were trails on both sides of the stream, and we hopped back and forth depending on which was less obstructed at the time. And then the hollow grew narrower and rockier, and the trail seemed to disappear altogether. So we followed the stream the best we could, plowing through brush and hopping on rocks and under and over logs, and eventually made it out here where the landscape widens and I can see the glistening of a road just ahead. So we are right on track. Nothing ever came of the stream, and this was so far the most difficult part of the hike, both in terms of terrain and difficulty of following the trail. We've gone from most difficult part of the trail to the easiest part of the trail so far, Suloff Run Road, which is grassy and level, an open stretch between the woods. Well, here are some decent views of the Tuscarora Mountains from Suloff Road. So we have a decision to make right now. We can continue on Suloff Road and then head back up to the parking area via the route we drove up on Hemlock Gap Road. Or there is a double blaze right here, and maybe a trail, maybe not, because I prefer returning a way different than we came. We'll head up this double blue blazed trail, and at any rate we'll get more bang for our buck exploring, and we get to avoid all that private property that we saw on both sides of the road on our journey up. We are now in a narrow valley between the two mountains. We just came from the south, that direction, passing up over the mountain There really was not much to see, and it was a difficult slog, very rocky up the side of the mountain. Would not recommend it except for experienced hikers. If we continue straight forward, that will take us to Hemlock Gap Road, and you can see there's a property down there. Even if it's not private property on this road and we can pass through, Hemlock Gap Road was icy and muddy and slushy, and I'm not really inclined to hike on ice and slush at the moment. This looks much more promising. Here is a trail from the logged area up to the top of the mountain, and this will actually lead us to that section with the very nice views on our journey out. So we'll choose to head back up this way. After climbing the ridge before you via a very rocky bushwhack, we descended that ridge, and from that valley below we ascended to where we're standing now via a muddy logging road. But as we pan, this is the best view of Hemlock Gap, I believe also called Spiegelmeyer Gap, that we've seen thus far. We are on our return trip, and according to the map, we'll hook up with a large state Gamelands parking lot that we passed on the way up. The blue skies have given way to snow clouds, and it's lightly flurrying now. We enjoyed the near 40-degree weather in the morning, but everything that was melting is now iced solid. Thankfully, our micro spikes are crunching away, so not a problem for us. Other than some decent views, there was not much exceptional, but granted, this is our first exploratory visit of State Gamelands 107, and we stuck mainly to the Gamelands roads. There are yet many more ridges, valleys, and hollows to explore. And you can find the full story at hemlockstateexplorer.com, along with, Lord willing, future explorations of State Gamelands 107, along with all of our many other adventures. And until next time, we can't wait to see you on the next adventure.